Paul Bettany and Jeremy Pope totally inhabit the roles of Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat. They are the odd couple, just like the one in the film of that name. The conflict is the grit that creates this pearl of a story. Warhol, unhappy with the standard of cleaning in Basquiat's studio, starts vacuuming.
Hello and welcome to 1 Minute Theatre Reviews. I'm Paul Seven Lewis, this is the Young Vic, and I'm here to see The Collaboration.
The collaboration at the Young Vic is a special occasion. The two stars are Paul Bettany, Vision no less from the Marvel Universe, and the very unpleasant Duke of Argyll in A Very British Scandal, and Hollywood rising star Jeremy Pope. The play's written by Anthony McCarten, best known for his screenplays The Theory of Everything, The Two Popes and Bohemian Rhapsody. Now it's about two of the great American artists of the late 20th century, Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat, who worked together on a number of paintings. And as you enter the Young Vic, you see examples of their work scattered throughout the building. And then when you walk into the auditorium, before the play even begins, there are flashing lights and the loud beat of a DJ, Zana, live mixing music. And there are videos from 1980s New York projected onto the set. Well, in real life, when Warhol and Basquiat collaborated, the critics' response was lukewarm. So was this collaboration of theatrical talent a similar damp squib? Quite the opposite. It's an explosion of heat and light. Well, that's 1 minute of reviewing. If you want to know more about this play and the terrific acting, keep watching. The director is Kwame Kwei-Armah, your actual artistic director of the Young Vic. And for good measure, the set is designed by Anna Fleischle, who triumphed just last week with The Forest at Hampstead Theatre. And now she conjures up the two artists' studios, both versions of the same white-painted brick walls, skylights and paint-splattered floor, but each quite different in the details that represent the artists' very different personalities. It is, as I said, an occasion. You can see why a play about this famous collaboration seemed like a good idea. I mean, you couldn't get more different people. Warhol, the established king of pop art, and Basquiat, the young pretender whose neo-expressionist work went from street art to multi-million-dollar sales at auction. Warhol, old and in decline. Basquiat, young and on the rise. Warhol, the reserved germaphobe who hid his heart. Basquiat, messy, prolific, spontaneous, and wearing his heart on his sleeve. They are the odd couple, just like the one in the film of that name. Or they could be a comedy duo like Morecambe and Wise, one that depends on a straight man and an anarchist. The conflict is the grit that creates this pearl of a story. And what a great story. There are comparisons to be made with John Logan's superb play Red, which also features conversations about art, in that case between Mark Rothko and his young critical assistant. Here, though, the two protagonists are shown as equals. Initially, they hate each other's work. So ugly, says Warhol. Old hat, says Basquiat. So not exactly Elton John and Dua Lipa. Then they meet, and in the first act, they explore one another's ideas of art. Warhol sees himself as taking out the feeling by repetitive reproduction, so that surface becomes all that matters, deliberately turning art into a commodity. Trash, trash, but we have to celebrate something, says Warhol. He might possibly have said that in the second act, I'm not sure. And Basquiat passionately believes that art means something and can be an instrument for change. Art disturbs the comfortable and comforts the disturbed, he says. And in this play of natural conversation, even aphorisms like that sound spontaneous. There are times in the first act when you may wonder, interesting and enjoyable as the conversation is, whether it's getting anywhere. The second act dispels all doubt. It takes place when they've been working together for a couple of years and starts with a splendid moment when Warhol, unhappy with the standard of cleaning in Basquiat's studio, starts vacuuming. The two have got to know one another very well. They have come to feel a kind of love for each other. And it's heartwarming in this current era of echo chambers and cancel culture to see two people with very different views not shutting each other out, but listening and talking and eventually respecting one another. The intimacy the artists now have means that we find out a lot more about their inner selves. Warhol opens up emotionally in ways you would never have imagined. And we learn about Basquiat's demons too. In some ways, the collaboration has reinvigorated Warhol. There's a great moment when in the first act he picks up a brush for the first time in 25 years and seems to marvel at the feel of it in his hand. He's become a kind of father figure to Basquiat, who seems to be on a downward spiral of paranoia and drug addiction. This all works so well, partly because of the strength of the dialogue, partly because of the way director Kwame Kwei-Armah drives the play towards a dramatic climax. But most of all, it's because of the acting. Paul Bettany and Jeremy Pope totally inhabit the roles of Andy Warhol and Jean-Michel Basquiat. Mr. Bettany looks the part with his gangly body and his nervous tics and his pale skin and white wig. And when he talks with Warhol's superficial gosh gee way of speaking, his controlled body language conveys that this is a way of hiding his true self, just as he hides behind the camera. And Mr. Pope, with hair like a crown of thorns, is all bouncy and Tigger-like, and then suddenly switches to anger, both moods concealing a pain that can be seen in the way he physically slumps, or sometimes has a watery look in his eyes. These two outstanding performances turn this theatrical collaboration into a momentous occasion. I give the collaboration 4 stars. Well, if you've watched this far, you've either fallen asleep or you found it interesting. I hope it was the latter, and if it was, then please subscribe to this channel by clicking on the button below. If you don't really like watching me, you can read my reviews at oneminutetheatrereviews.co.uk. Thank you for watching.